Hey everybody, I just wanted to throw out a quick video to cap off this first week of the Chibimals Kickstarter and just my excitement and pleasure with how it's going and everything. It's been amazing, guys. I did not expect it to go the way that it did. In fact, so many people around me are saying, seriously, this is doing well? And yet these are getting attention from, I feel, the right kind of people. People in my life are going, oh, these are adorable. I especially find that the frog is getting attention from people. People love the frog. But all of them, they're going, oh, these are wonderful, and could you print us some, and could you, you know. So people are enjoying Chibi which I think is great, and it's appealing to people who my previous projects didn't really appeal to, and so for me that's good. That's what I wanted to do. That's why I think Chibimals kind of grabbed my attention, because I was like, oh, I love this is going to be fun, but it's also going to get the attention of other people who I would like to get the attention of, and I would like to get people to acknowledge and see how cool these are. So yeah, I'm loving it so far. Now I want to talk a little bit about the modeling process, because I've been making a new Chibimal just about every day of this Kickstarter so far, and I hope that you guys are planning to join me on Monday, where I will be, and there will be a card up for that. But I'll be doing another live stream on Monday morning, and we'll do some modeling and stuff like that. But I wanted to jump over to Blender real fast and show you guys what I've been doing so far. So here we are at Blender, and let's pull up the piggy. The piggy is a classic one. So all of them, and actually I'm going to put away the piggy for a second and pull up the base body here. I have two base bodies, a vertical base body and a horizontal base body. And one thing that I'm doing different with this Kickstarter than I did with the low poly dinos. With low poly dinos, I told myself I'm not going to reuse assets at all. Each one of them is going to be created again from scratch. But with Chibimals, I created those base bodies, and I'm trying to keep it to within those base bodies, and just kind of layer things on those base bodies to keep them all with a uniform look and feel to them. So you'll see, here's the pig, and then I'm going to pull up the bull, which is, my new horizontal one, and you'll see they overlap quite a lot. Like they fit within the same mold, and yet within that mold, the bull is a very different model than the piggy. Well, this is kind of the idea of Chibimals, is to distill down the base ideas of what makes these animals distinct, and present those to you guys, and make them so that they are easily recognizable with 3D printing. I talked a little bit about the modeling process of the spikes, particularly on the hedgehog, but I want to walk through that process with you guys real fast. I'm going to turn off all the modifiers that are happening just to show you. I modeled this, half of the hedgehog spikes. The rest of what happens after this point is the computer doing the work for me. For instance, I tell it mirror it. Boom. Now I've got two halves. I just had to model the one half. Then I turn on the subdivision surface modifier, which smooths it out. This might take a little while because it's really smoothing it down. I cranked this sucker up so that it's doing a very, very high resolution mesh, because the next step needs all of that detail. It's the displace modifier. Now before I do the displace modifier, I'm going to go over to the texture. Do you see these dots here? That's a Veroni texture. The idea behind a Veroni texture is it takes like various dots that are within a certain distance of each other, and then expands them out like soap bubbles. And where the soap bubbles meet, they create a straight line, because that's what happens when soap bubbles do. So a Veroni texture is really soap bubbles, okay? And when I looked at this texture, I was like, that kind of, because it's a bunch of gradient circles, that's kind of what I was looking for, and I had been racking my brain on how I was going to do this. Now I'm going to change a setting here real fast to put it back to the way it was when it first, the default setting, When I applied this Veroni texture, the first thing that I saw when I did it was this, and I was like, oh, that's not what I want at all. That looks terrible. But then I realized what I was looking at was that the valleys were peaks and the peaks were valleys and everything was reversed. And so if I just took this strength modifier and made it into a negative number, a negative 0.6, 1 is, 1, and then 0.5 is half of that. So 0.6 is a little less than half of that. When this popped out, there was nobody there. And I kind of, I'm glad that there was nobody there, but I regret it as well, because if I had been doing a live stream and when this popped out, the relief of this was what I wanted, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. I thought I was going to have to design this by hand and work on each one of these spikes manually, and maybe I'd be able to reverse it and get the other half. But still, I was like, oh, I don't know how. Maybe I should do a bunch of individual cones and overlap them. Maybe I could do. And then I hit that button, and boom, these spikes appeared in front of me. And one, they were adorable. And I was like, oh, and two, they were what I was looking for, and I didn't have to like do it all by hand. And I was like, oh, and it relief. And just play. Oh, I was such a mess for just a couple of minutes while this whole thing just went over. It was. I was beside myself, and I could see myself from the outside going, Joe, you're making a fool of yourself. But there's nobody around, so go ahead and make a fool of yourself. It was such a cool moment when that fell out. Now, I want to talk about the newest member of the Chibimals. Let's see if we can. Why is Blender locked up? There we go. Blender's not locked up. The newest member of the Chibimals. Everybody say hello to the chameleon. Now, I want to mention some things about the chameleon. Let's go back to the piggy here. Okay. You'll notice that when I pull up the piggy, the chameleon doesn't. It doesn't fit as closely to the chameleon as the bull did. And that's because when I took the body, yes, the body is still a simplified shape like this. And it's still from here to here, the same vertices that are in the piggy. But as soon as I did that tail took me like 4 or 5 tries to get this curl in it just right. But I wanted the chameleon to have the curly tail. Now, I thought with the chameleon that I should just continue on the head and let it be the same round as the piggy and maybe modify it a little bit like I did with the bull and then put the eyes on the side. And then I'd make the frills separately. If I were staying true to the idea that inspired these, I would have done that. But I didn't. And I don't know why I didn't. I don't want Chibimals to get complex. I want them to remain simple. But with this one, I basically modeled a low poly head here like I do with the low poly dinos. And I wanted it to kind of remain low poly, so I added a bevel modifier to take these low poly edges and kind of round them out. So this one is actually a low poly Chibimal, kind of. And in that way, he's a departure, and yet I don't feel like he's out of place in the Chibimals. And maybe you'll disagree with me. Go ahead and leave in the comments if you think that the chameleon doesn't fit in the Chibimals. Now, the other thing was I was thinking, okay, well, he's a chameleon. I need to do the complex toes on him. That's where I went, no. Keep the feet simple. Make the feet just as simple as you can. And I had to push back against myself because I felt myself going towards making this a more complex shape and a more complex animal, and I said no. Chibimals are simple. Keep it simple. And so I backed off and I changed that. But there's the chameleon. I think he's adorable. And yeah, the newest member of the Chibimals here, guys. There you go. I hope that you're looking forward to that. And I hope that I will get to see you on Monday where we'll do some more modeling, some more talking. If you guys have questions, I'll be answering them live while you guys are joining me on that chat. And I look forward to having a good time. And I look forward to the rest of this month doing more and more Chibimals, growing this library, keeping it going. this is just the beginning. I hope that this is just the beginning, because we've got 15 already. I've only modeled 8 of them, so we'll get the rest of those modeled, and then no, I've modeled more than 8, but still we're up to 15 now. And I hope that that's not where we plateau out. I hope that it keeps going, because I want to do more Chibimals, and I'm already thinking about the future of what I'm going to do after the Kickstarter, but I can't get ahead of myself. Let's see how far Chibimals go. Thank you guys for your support, and I'll see you on Monday. As always, safety first. I'll see you guys around.